Today in the office, we have the third in the line of gaming Chromebooks that were announced back in the late fall. This is the ASUS Chromebook Vibe CX55 Flip, I think. Chromebook names. But it is ASUS's first attempt at a cloud gaming, I would say, Chromebook. And if we're looking at the spec sheet and we're looking at the photos, it feels like this might be a little bit of a rehash, but let's dive in the box and check it out. So when we saw the press materials on this particular device, there's a couple things that stood out. The other two gaming Chromebooks, the Acer Chromebook 516GE, and then the Lenovo IdeaPad gaming Chromebook, I don't know, it's just Lenovo's gaming Chromebook, are both 16-inch, non-touch, 12th gen, 8 gigs of RAM. Like they share a bunch of stuff in common with one another. And then there's this one from ASUS that is a 15.6 inch. Instead of 120 hertz like the other two, it's a 144 hertz display, which sounds really cool. But then the shell of it looks a whole lot like the ASUS Chromebook CM5 that launched, I think, 2 CESs ago. So you had the CX5, the original CX5, and then the CM5. And that was basically I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that particular Chromebook, but it was all black. It had, highlights around the ASDW key, so it kind of looked like it was made for gaming. It wasn't at all, but it had AMD processors inside. But that Chromebook kind of got largely forgotten because the CX5 was so good from ASUS that year in the midst of all the other 11th gen Chromebooks. But the similarities don't end there. This actually has an 11th gen processor in it too. So it looks just like the CM5. It has an 11th gen processor like the CX5, 15.6 inches. You get it. Like, it's probably going to feel a whole lot like the CM5 because it's an all black device here. So the CX5, if you remember, was white on the outside, black on the inside. That was kind of cool. Here's the Chromebook. Nothing really spectacular in the box. Charger, you get it. Pretty straightforward. And the reason I probably sound a little bit dismissive of this Chromebook, but when I saw that it was an 11th gen processor, when I saw that it looked like the exact same chassis as the CM5, I was a little less enthused about this one as a gaming Chromebook than the other two, because I felt like the Lenovo and the Acer are both devices that were launched with gaming specifically in mind. Like, they built those things. This looked to me like kind of just a rehash, and I can tell you from looking at it, from looking at the angular bottom on it, where the fan ports are, where the speaker grills are, heck, even where the ports are on the sides. My wife has the CX5. This is a very, very similar, if not the exact same chassis that ASUS has used before, and that's not entirely a bad thing. The CX5 specifically is a great Chromebook still to buy. It's aluminum on the top. It's all plastic on the bottom, but it's pretty rigid. And it's a decent screen. It had a 250-nit screen in it, but a great keyboard, great trackpad, great speakers. So we'll see if that's the case with this particular device. But real quick before I crack it open, around the side, it's gonna be hard to see with this black device, but you got a USB Type A, USB-C headphone microphone. Then over here on the other side, another USB-C, SD card slot, and then a full-size HDMI slot. I do miss that on the Lenovo. I've been testing it a little bit here lately, and I miss just having an HDMI slot on a Chromebook, especially one this big, because it just makes it a whole lot easier to get all plugged in at your desk instead of having to fumble around with a dongle. But unlike I normally do, I normally open it up, start talking about it, and then I got to stop in the middle of that. As I open this up, I'm going to go ahead and get logged in and get set up on here, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, so I got all logged in and set up, and I have some thoughts right off the bat, and I kind of thought that I would. This 100% is the chassis from the CM5. I mean, you've even got the colored keys here in the exact same spot, and I didn't even notice earlier the colored power and volume rocker keys there. So this is absolutely the same chassis from that device, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it feels a little weird with it being this kind of new venture with Chromebooks, like this cloud gaming centric thing. And I've had such a good experience on the Acer. It feels weird to have rehashed hardware here. And my biggest gripe so far already, I can tell with the screen, is even though it's a higher refresh rate, it's 144 hertz versus 120 that we see in the other two gaming Chromebooks versus 60 that we get in normal Chromebooks. I guess there's some ghosting or something here. There's you might be able to pick up on this. Let me see. Let's just get focused in here on the screen. Is the exposure good here? So just kind of watch as the animation happens, as it moves away here. You kind of just, you catch some, the best way I can call it is ghosting. I don't know if it's picking up on camera. It's so prevalent actually with this display that I was curious if it actually is 144 hertz or not. I did pull up a web-based test that actually just pings your screen to tell you what the speed is of the refresh rate. It is obviously 144 hertz, but strangely enough, it doesn't feel like it. So that's a little off-putting. It's also only about 250 nits. So as soon as I turned it on, I kind of noticed like, this doesn't look that bright. Tested it really quickly, and yeah, it's a 250 nit screen still, which was the biggest downfall of the CX5 and CM5 that originally embodied this particular chassis. They had good screens, the colors are good, but the brightness on them was really lacking, and so the same goes here. Unfortunately, I hate to see that. Also, you got a gaming Chromebook. The other two have RGB keyboards, and this one doesn't. It just has a standard backlit keyboard, which looks exactly like the keyboard looked, with the CM and CX5. But to the positive notes, it does have this nice wide glass trackpad. The click mechanism feels really good, which is really nice. It's kind of quiet. But it's in place, it works the way you'd expect it to. That was an issue with the CX5 that my wife has, and it was an issue with one of the ones we had a review unit of. We actually did a video, I think, about how to undo that trackpad and kind of fix some of those things on these floating trackpads. But I also noticed that the keyboard feels really great. Again, it's the exact same keyframe. Like, I think we're even going to link our CX5 review in this. Just so you can kind of pick up on some of those notes, because all of that stuff from the hardware perspective all lines up. It's all the same, the exact same internals, the exact same externals here. I am checking real quick what the full resolution. Yeah, so it looks like it's a 720p camera, which is unfortunate. It seems like lately these days we're getting full HD on cameras. And we're not here. Yeah, it's super grainy. I'm gonna point it over here just to see what the dynamic range is. Not terrible, but Joe's lit up pretty decently, but the image is so soft, like I can't even read the words on the hat or anything. So the cameras are nothing to write home about here. So yeah, it sounds like I'm being a little negative here, but we kind of had these 3 Chromebooks launched that were gaming focused, and like they kind of wanted to embody the same thing. And I feel like this was just like we got these lying around, just swap the board out and ship it kind of thing from ASUS. And that's, I don't know, that's a little unfortunate. Like, it's hard enough to get people to take gaming Chromebooks. I even put it in parentheses all the time, to get gaming Chromebooks to be taken seriously. But I've really enjoyed my time with the Acer Chromebook 516 GE, like actually playing games on it. I've played a ton of Apex. I'm not terrible anymore. I played a lot of Fortnite with my kids. So, I'm trying to get people to take these things seriously. Like, if you're into cloud gaming, they are made to be better at that. And this doesn't feel like it's going to do that at all, unfortunately. But one thing I do want to test real quickly, I've got a video pulled up for this specific task. The speakers, I remember, in the CX5 were fantastic. So let's give those a listen real fast.
This, and you think to yourself, I'd still like to hear what this guy thinks.
Well, let's hear the track. Yeah, those are great speakers. So it just further informs me that they didn't change anything about this hardware. This is the same device with a different sticker on the outside, and they did change the panel. It's 144 hertz technically. Unfortunately, I'm just telling you, I've been staring at 120 hertz panels for a little while now. The one on my desk is that, and I've been using the Acer and the Lenovo gaming Chromebooks. They both have a great 120 hertz bright display on them. This does not feel like that. It feels like a 60 hertz display. And maybe it's just because of that ghosting or whatever, but it just doesn't have that extra edge that you're going to want if you're looking for a gaming specific Chromebook. And then there's the price. Like, it's priced above the Acer Chromebook as well. I mean, I'll even pull it up real quick for you to see what the price is on this thing, because you got to remember the Acer has been on sale for $550 now for like a solid month. Yeah, so it's knocked down $100 and it's still $50 more expensive than the Acer. And there's no way I would tell you to go buy this over that device. There's just no way. It's $699. Absolutely no, don't do that. go buy the CX5. You're going to have a very, very, very similar experience between these two Chromebooks. So unfortunately, I'm just not completely sure what ASUS was going after with this particular Chromebook. Maybe they just kind of wanted to get in on the gaming Chromebook thing and said, hey, we got these lying around. Let's just do it with that. But it feels very half-hearted at this point, and that's kind of a bummer. It's not to say it's not a nice Chromebook. The CX5 is a great Chromebook too, but because it's an older Chromebook, you can find it on sale all over the place and probably get a good deal on it. So there's really no worth in spending the money to buy this Vibe CX55. It's basically the same Chromebook, and I kind of wish to see better than that from ASUS, but they're just hit and miss. You know, they have some stuff that comes out that I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and some stuff that comes out and I'm just like, I'm not really sure why they made this particular thing. And this one unfortunately kind of falls in that camp. So buyer beware here. If you're wanting to buy one of these Chromebooks that has a bigger screen and you enjoy the gaming aspects of it, the RGB keyboard, the higher refresh rate screen, probably want to lean towards the Acer or the Lenovo on this one. This Chromebook from ASUS here is just probably just not something I'm going to recommend at any point in the gaming Chromebook game. But guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, head down there, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to ring the notification icon as well if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Till next time, we'll see you.